I've talked to a lot of my friends about motivation, success, and all that stuff. And one of the questions that I've always been asked is, but how do I always keep myself motivated? But I'm not motivated, but I don't have enough motivation. In this video, I want to explain why motivation sucks and it never works. Motivation is just an emotion, a chemical reaction in our brain. And just like any other emotion, it doesn't physically exist, and we cannot control when it comes or when it disappears. I know there are a lot of people who would say they can control their emotions and feelings, but I believe that motivation is a little different because you cannot say like click, oh wow, I'm motivated, or click, oh no, I'm not motivated anymore. Motivation is something that gives you the energy to start something, but it never helps you to continue doing it. It never ever could help you to hold that habit and to stick to that habit. That's why a lot of people often start strong, but after a few days or a few weeks, they become tired and they stop doing it. And it is very important to know that if you ever started doing something and you stopped, and after a few days or weeks or maybe months you stopped doing it, that does not mean you're lazy. That just means that you were only using the motivation that you had from something that happened in the past and doesn't exist anymore. Only means that you were depending on a feeling instead of a system. The problem with relying on motivation is that it creates a cycle of guilt. For example, at first you're very motivated and excited and inspired to do something new, or to start something that you've always wanted to start. Then you work really hard on it, you go to the gym every day, or you study for like 4 or 5 hours every day, and then you stop because the motivation has disappeared. And just like that, you get into the cycle of guilt, and you feel guilty for failing yourself. One of the other problems with this circle is that if this happens many times, somewhere in between you stop trusting yourself. That means you start doing something, you work really hard on it, and in the end you fail yourself, and it happens again and you stop in the end, and somewhere in between you lose your trust in yourself because deep down you know that every time you started you stopped, so if you started it again you would fail again. But you shouldn't forget though, it wasn't you who failed, it was the system that failed you. That just means you need to stop focusing on having motivation and being happy all the time while doing something, and start focusing on the process, on the goal itself, on your purpose, on the purpose behind why you're doing something, and how you could change the system so that it helps you to achieve those goals. Do you really think successful people only work when they're motivated? Successful people only work when they're happy and at their best? No, they don't. I mean, for example, athletes, people who do sports, not every single one of their training session is their best. Sometimes they're tired, sometimes they haven't had enough sleep, sometimes they had this and that, but in the end, it is them who go to training and do something for them. Or students, just because you've had a bad day doesn't mean that you can just sleep and not study for the exam that you have tomorrow. In the society, or at least the environment that I've grown up, I've never heard anybody using the word motivation. I don't even know what motivation means in my native language, because I've never heard anybody say, only if I had more motivation, or I am so unmotivated. That is like such a bullshit that this society has made. If you really want to do something, if you really want to achieve something, then wake up, stand up, and do it. You need to look at your life like a house that you're building. Instead of focusing how beautiful it looks, you have to focus on the structure, because if the structure sucks, then the whole house is going to collapse one day. So the first thing you need to do is to rely on the structure. That means start creating small habits. For example, every day you study from this to this hour at the same time, or every single day you wake up at the same time. It is very important for a habit to be at the same time, because I believe that it will make it get into this kind of flow, and it's easier to build a habit when it's at the same time. At least it works for me like that. The second very important thing you have to do is to remove the resistance. You have to build cues, as James Clear says in his books. You have to build cues. For example, you want to study, then build an environment in which you can study comfortably, so that it gives you this vibe of studying. For example, prepare your studying desk, or your healthy food, or your gym stuff, already the night before, so that you can so that you're mentally prepared. Okay, I am going to do it. And the third most important part is to stay consistent. I mean, come on, girl, what is more important to build your life? And not to even mention, you only have one life, and think about it, only one life, only one chance, and you can't ruin that.